I first knew Fran when she was only a speck on the horizon of the Griffith household. She was always a striking child, but she was never a conventionally pretty child in any way. Her hair was against her. Most of the time it seemed to be tied up with barbed wire and hung around her scalp so that it wouldn't move.
She was a very solid little girl, which is why it was so amazing when in later years she metamorphosed into this extraordinary thin butterfly. She was just such a change. We spent a lot of time with Fran and her family when we were little because they lived near us in Blackheath, and then afterwards when they moved to Bury we used to go there for holidays and for Christmas. But one of my very earliest memories is of a home movie that my Uncle Michael made, and if we were very lucky and if Michael was in a good mood we could persuade him to run it backwards, and Fran and Hugh would be going back up the slide to the top. Well, that was entertainment. That kept us going for hours on end. When we were children, we were together a lot. We were very much the same age. We were only a few months apart. Her mother used to call up the stairs, "Girls, it's time for your tea." And we'd come giggling downstairs together, and we'd giggle in the bedroom together and go for walks over the dunes together. When I ran racks, she always dragged me off on a long walk somewhere. Fran was, although she was the middle child in her family, Alex was a bit younger, so it was really the four of us. It was me and Hugh and Deb and Fran. And I've got very strong memories of the four of us giggling and giggling and giggling at anything and everything.
Barbara, her mother, was very, very good at teaching her handicrafts, particularly knitting and sewing. Fran embarked on these with great enthusiasm and a great deal of skill, and will be remembered by many people for the jerseys that they still have that she had knitted for them. The other thing that was outstanding for her was her devotion to her father, Michael. And if you really wanted a lesson in botany, you should have gone out with Mike and Fran, where they picked up every other piece of grass and counted every single little hummock on it, every single little hair coming from it, and then argued to the death about whether it was this, that, fescue or whatever. After university, once we were in our 20s, we did meet up again and got together, and gone were the floral corduroy frocks and the cable knit cardies and the woolen tights, and here was this stick-thin, olive-skinned, mad-haired, bare-legged, booted, loudmouth with a beer in her hand, but not for very long. You could never have a proper conversation with Fran when you were here, because somebody would always be coming up and saying, "How are they growing?" or "How's your melons, Fran?" And so it's such a good job that Mike's such a chatterbox, really. In more recent years, me and Paul or I would come up to Shrewsbury, or she and Mike would come down to London, and we've had a couple of lovely days out. Paul fell for her instantly when they first met. He and I hadn't known each other all that long when we came up to the family place in Suffolk for a family bash, and it was a bit of a daunting prospect for him to be going to meet 30 members of my family or so. But when he met Fran, they almost straight away learnt that they'd both broken both collarbones at some point in their lives, and before you knew it, they were feeling each other's neck areas like they'd known each other forever. In recent years, I saw most of her at the very difficult time when both her parents died within a couple of months of each other, and Fran was always there. She was a rock. She, difficult journeys, had to take time off work. It was a really difficult time for her as for everybody else, but she was always there, always just being there for them. I wish I could say how it was that Fran became the person she did become. I don't know, but the result was that she came shining through. Whatever the occasion, she was always ready for it. She was a character in spades, and nobody here who knew her will need me to say what a brilliant and bright example she was to all mankind of shining through all sorts of difficulties. For me, there was a kind of fierce brilliance that illuminated everything Fran said or did. She was funny, articulate, forthright, intelligent, and ploughed her own furrow. She was so funny and so barking mad.